Good morning, folks. Good morning. I am coming to you early in the morning on the 16th of December, and I hope I'm coming in clear. I will find out if I am or not. I'm coming in early this morning because I get a little ahead of my daughter. She wakes up usually, she's up about 7, and what time is it now? It's almost 6 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, I'm going to try to keep my voice down, but hopefully you'll be able to hear it fine. And we'll do this now. This is a little quieter. Anyways, good morning, Merry Christmas, and we are still moving forward on the scene here. So as you can see, I've got Nora coming up and doing her action here. For those of you who are new to my channel, I have to say this every time. It's a little hard on the folks who already hear it, but it's necessary. I'm doing this as a tutorial for people who may or may be working on their own film, their own short film, or animated film rather. And I just wanted to show you what it's like if you're working on something. I wanted to show you the steps and the things that I'm doing each day because they will apply, or probably would apply to you. Doesn't mean that you have to work the same way I'm working, but that if you are doing something and then you have similarities in it, you can see someone else doing it in real time, and that can be very helpful to you. I do teach online. If you are interested in taking my classes, contact me at leonardrobinson@yahoo.com, and I can set up one-on-one classes online. I use Google Meet to do the classes, and I talk to you about whatever it is that you're interested in. If you're interested in doing storyboarding, I teach that. If you're interested in character design, I teach that. Also, if you're interested in animation, I teach that. But this is an ongoing thing because I'm just doing this for anyone and everyone. The classes are, I do these little 20-minute bits for the purpose of not putting too much in the video, enough for you to get a sense of what's what. And it is a work in progress, so, if you're doing a film, obviously you need to work a little bit on it every day if you want to get it finished. And so I'm doing this to show you this is the way this works. You get a much better effect when you put the effort each and every day. All right, and there you go. So, all right, so we got an hour coming up, and then we've got, I think we had, let's see, our last in between was, let's see, this is 29, we were going from 25 to 31, right? And 29 was the in between. So if we go to 31 here, we'll see that the next in between is going to be 27. That will be between here, 25, and 29. So we'll go over here to add drawing. And I'm working in rough animated, by the way, if you wonder what the program is. Add after, so I'm adding a 2 frames space afterwards. And we're going to fill in this space with the head here. I will go to this head. I think actually, let me see. Well, they're the same. So I can do either one. I'll do the final one. Anyway, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab this head. I'm going to copy it, go backwards 1 frame and paste it. And then I'm going to move it so that it is in the in-between position. I'll have to kind of rotate it a little bit. So try to see if I can get it in the right place where the in-between is. And then I go down here on the bottom left, and you'll see this flashing. This allows you to roll your drawings so that you can see whether the action is, whether you put your in-between in the right place. And it would appear that I have. All right. Now, as far as the hand goes, I don't know if that's right. Let's see. Usually I do the hands separate. Well, anyway, we'll go back to 20. So this is 27. Yeah, see, that's going to be 25, 29. So this is 27, which is a pure in between. The breakdowns, I put a line underneath the breakdown because, well, That's how I was taught at Disney. Um, I think, well, the reason why it was like that, that I was taught that way at Disney was within a production. When you're working on a production within a studio, there are would be literally hundreds of people working on the same thing, and so in order to distinguish your job, you have to have something. There has to be an organizational way of dealing with the work because everybody's working on the same thing at the same time. So I was a breakdown in between or a breakdown assistant. What that meant was that I did the drawings, the major in between drawings between any two positions in a scene. Oops. Something happened there. I hope we didn't lose her. Let's see what we got. All right. Let's see here. Okay. So what did it do? Probably eliminated. Yeah, it did. Okay. What just happened, if you're wondering what's going on here, is sometimes if there's an error or there's a crash in the system, which you just experienced, it'll erase whatever I just did. So, for instance, I just did drawing number 29, but it just eliminated it. It crashed on me. So, sometimes what I have to do, like, for instance, now I'm going to, okay, so I got to make that drawing again. So, I got drawing number 25, drawing number 29. So, I have to come back in here, add a drawing after, and we'll call that 27. And what I'm going to do here is go up here and save, so that at least it's saving what I've got so far. Now, I don't know where the crashes come from. It might be copy paste. I don't know. So I'm going to copy this. I'm redoing what I just did. Paste, move it. Okay. To get it in the right spot. Rolling the drawings again. Okay. So that looks good. Alright, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to save this again. I think what happens is, I think Rough Animator, I don't know that, I'm not really certain about this, I'm just guessing, but it looks like to me that Rough Animator doesn't like, if you're copy pasting things, it looks like sometimes you're going to get an error. That's what it's looking like. I'm not sure why that is, but whatever the reason, your best bet would be to save as much as possible. So, oops. So I'm going to save. I'm going to become a save nut here. So let's see if this is going to be okay. So on the box here, I was copying the box because I don't like drawing things if I don't have to. Over, especially if they're very close in size. Copy, paste that to there. We roll it. So floating over here. So hold up. Looks okay, I guess. Okay. Save that. It looks like it's a little jittery when it comes to the copy pasting. So I think what I'm going to have to start doing being aware of on copy paste is that I might need to just start saving it a little more frequently. So in case it does crash, I'm not losing anything. Just the other day I was animating something. I had been animating something, and I was doing a bunch of drawings in between drawings and breakdowns. And I had done, I don't know, I think I must have done, I don't even remember how many drawings I had done, but I'd done a few. And this happened. It crashed, and all those drawings were gone. I was like, oh man, that sucked. Um, and whenever that happens, I have a tendency of just like putting everything down and say it's good. I'll go back to it another time. Um, so, but you know, I mean, that's one thing about animating on paper that you don't have with computers is that if you crash and you lose something, it's just gone. But if you're drawing on paper, that can't happen. But then you have other issues when you're drawing stuff on paper because it's a physical, real thing, So you're doing real work, So it's kind of a different thing. All right, so let's see. We got 25, 27, 29, 31, and then our next drawing is 39 from here to here. So that chart, you can see that we have drawing number 35 is going to be the breakdown. That's the first major in between. So we'll add a drawing here, and we will label it 39 and put a line under it. Now, once again, to explain that, I was starting to explain it when the thing crashed, so I don't think I explained it carefully. The reason being that I put the line underneath the number is because within a studio system, as I mentioned, you have a lot of people that are working on stuff. At Disney, the animator, in the old days, the way it was supposed to work was the animator would just do the key poses and he would pose out his animation and he'd put the charts, which are these little things that you see up here in the top. If you can see my mouse moving, that's a chart. What that chart is telling you is the number of in-betweens that are going to be in between any two positions. So when you look at the chart at the top of the chart is the number that you're leaving. So like in other words, that's would be this number here, 31 would be at the top of this chart here. Then the next drawing would be 33, 35, 37, 39. 39 is now this drawing that we're looking at, okay? So what this chart does is it shows you the spacing of the in-betweens. You have a number 35, which is halfway between 31 and 39. And then you have 33, which is halfway between 31 and 35. And 37, which is halfway between 35 and 39. When I put the line underneath the drawing, that means that the breakdown artist is only doing those drawings. So the way they used to do it at Disney, the way it was originally set up, was that they had people who just did breakdowns. That's all they did on everything. So they did the major breakdowns, and then all the drawings then would go to an in-betweener who did the remaining in-between drawings. And this was to streamline the production. That was the purpose of it being done that way. Because you had, like I said, literally hundreds of people working on a cartoon at any one time. And so they break down the work. Within the Disney system back in the day, like I said, you had the animator, and you had an assistant. The assistant actually, I believe, cleaned up the animator's drawing. Okay. But sometimes the assistant would do a breakdown, but then as time went on, they started to add more responsibilities. So the assistant might just clean up the animator's roughness. The animator could work very rough. And then the assistant would go over that and clean it up, tidy it up a little bit. Maybe he'd do the final cleanup because they had a whole department for that just did cleanup. But he might tie down drawings because some animators work extremely rough, and they could get a lot more work done if they did everything rough. Then the assistant would tie it down a little more, just doing the animator's drawings and cleaning up the charts, and then they would re-indicate on their drawing where the breakdowns and in-betweens would go. So they copy the animators. The animator would do the chart himself, but then the assistant would clean up everything, tidy up everything, do the chart, and then would tidy away. And then that would go to the next people down, which would be the breakdown people. Which that was my job to do the major in-betweens, or the major breakdown in-betweens between any two key positions. And then I would hand that off to yet another person who would do the in-betweens, the remaining in-betweens. So this streamlined process made getting the animation done a lot more efficient. It didn't put too much work on any one person. It also allowed people to take pride in their work. You know, if you didn't have to do as many drawings in the course of a day, too many drawings, you probably would do a better job on those drawings. And it was, you know, so the idea was to uh, give people less work so they could do higher quality. At least that's what I think it was. And when I came into the studio in 1978, I was trained in the process of how they did things, and it worked well. And to this day, hand-drawn animation is still done the same way. Even though a lot of the work that we do today is done, we have computer assist to get the job done. There's a lot of the same similar things are going on to make the stuff work, and it works very well. So that identification of putting the line underneath the drawing is just to let the next person down the line know what they have to do. Know that this was already done. They don't have to do that, and then they just do. But they were also trained that they didn't do the breakdowns, and they knew somebody else was doing them. There were even some cases where some animators would just work um, with certain people that they were already used to working with. Sometimes they were paired with other artists that they worked really well with, or they what was I going to say? um, I forgot what I was going to say. Or they just um, the idea was that you didn't know where the person was going to be, and you might not necessarily be even working in the same wing with that artist, or that artist would be at a different place in the building. So the scene would get to you, and you would be able to pick the scene up, know exactly what your job was, and then you get your job done. A very efficient system. Back in the day at Disney, even doing the pencil test, because back then everything was shot on film. So I believe you could leave your stuff in a certain place. That people that would take it to the camera department, shoot it. They have a whole department of people who just did made sure the exposure sheets were clear. It was just a very efficient system. And when you look at the old Disney animation, you look at how complex it was, you can see why an efficient system like that was a good thing. And like I said today, I don't think it's still a complex system. There's still a lot of things that have to happen in order to make an animated project work. And you still have to have people understanding how the system works so that you get the best effect. So, oh, that's right. That's where my in-between's got to go. That's why it's flashing like that. It's waiting for me to do an in-between right there. So let's see. So we'll give it, let's see. Looks like it doesn't, oh yeah, it doesn't move all. Well, that's handy. All right, then. Well, gee, let's make it easy on ourselves. We'll grab this head here. Might be the whole drawing. Gosh, let's see. We might be able to do this. Just grab almost the entire drawing. And we'll copy it. Paste it. And save it. Well, let's, oops. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. Except for the model case, let me just save that. Save. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Anyway, the because of the complexity of getting your animation done, and because you had so many people doing it, that was why they that's why they had it set up so that no one person had to do everything. You know, they broke it down really well, and that really actually worked really well for everyone, and it got production done because you could see, you know, how complex Disney animation was. So anything you could do to simplify the process is something that you'd want to do. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's good. All right. Well, I think we'll stop here. 21 minutes. All right. Good show. All right, good people. Well, today is Tuesday. You have a great day. I hope you have a beautiful day. Don't forget to give God glory for your talents and gifts. You know, without the Lord and without the talents and gifts we have, where would we be? Amen. So, anyway, y'all have a beautiful day. I'll see you tomorrow.